Welcome everyone. Today I'll be teaching you the math behind candle making, where I'll show you how to determine how much wax and fragrance oil you will need for your candle. All my calculations are going to be in ounces, but you can do this in grams and get the same results. Now, this is simply how I do my calculations and what I have found to be the most accurate, no leftover wax, and just how I have come to make sense of it in my head. So I've had the most success with this every single time, so hopefully this will guide you in the right direction. So for step one, we'll start by filling our jar with water to our desired level. This will represent the total wax and fragrance weight in our jar in water form, basically. In order to find out the total wax and fragrance weight, let's place the jar on the scale and tear the scale to 0 because we do not need to consider the weight of the jar in this calculation. And then we're going to pour the water into the jar to our desired level, and I get here 9.8 ounces. Now, one thing to remember is to account for the size of your lid, because if you have a lid like this versus a lid like this, you can see that you're going to have to account for that extra room that the lid is taking, obviously, versus this one. So once again, remember that this lid will matter if you are using one. Now for step number 2, because water and wax are not the same density, they're not a 1-to-1 kind of ratio, we're going to transform the water weight that we had from step 1 into what I like to call wax weight. So we do that by multiplying the weight that we have here on our scale by 0.86. So in our case, we get 9.8 times 0.86, so we get 8.42 ounces. And this is now transformed into basically wax weight. So step number 3, usually you can do this way beforehand, but I'm just trying to make it simple. For step number 3, you're going to need to determine how much fragrance load we want to use. So usually the range is between 6 and 10%, with 10% being the max amount a wax can hold. You'll hear a few other things, maybe even up to 12, but we'll use 10 as the max here. So for my demonstration, I'll use 8% fragrance load. So now for step number 4, up to this point, the number that we have is the total wax and fragrance weight combined. So now let's find out how much wax we need. What we do for that is we take our total wax and fragrance weight from step 2, which in my case is 8.42, and then we have to divide by our fragrance load. So because it is a percentage, and we want to find out the wax weight itself, what we're going to do is take the fragrance load, which was 8%, and convert it to 1.08. If your fragrance load is that you choose is 9%, then it's going to be 1.09. If you want 10, 1.10, 7, 1.07, so on and so forth. So we're going to take our total number, which was in my case 8.42, and divide that by 1.08 to get 7.79 ounces of wax. So this is the total wax weight. And now finally for step 5, we simply take our total weight, total wax fragrance weight, and we subtract the total wax weight that we got in step 4, which in this case is going to be 8.42 minus 7.79, 0.63 ounces of fragrance weight. So now let's do a quick example on another jar. It's a bit used up, so you'll see it being a bit beat up for now. So let's do the same steps once again. We'll use our scale, put the jar on the scale, tear it to 0, put in water to the point where we want the wax to sit at. I'm going to actually have it at a lower level in this case, up to here, just for demonstration purposes. And I get 6.68 ounces. Now I want to convert that water weight to wax weight, so I'm going to do 6.68 times 0.86, and I'm going to get 5.74. So the next step, I'm going to say I'm going to put 10% or 9, let's go with 9%. 9% fragrance load for this candle instead of 8. So 9% means 1.09. So let's find out the amount of wax we need. So we're going to take the 5.74, which is the total wax fragrance weight. And we're going to divide that by 1.09, which will give us 5.26 total wax weight. And now finally we take the total wax fragrance weight, which was 5.74, and we subtract 5.26 from it because that was the total wax weight, and we get 0.48 ounces of the fragrance oil. I hope that kind of made sense. I know it can be very confusing, but do it a few times. It will make sense pretty quickly. It doesn't take a long time, actually. And I hope it helps at least somebody. I know that there's a lot of other ways to do things. I've seen and read people doing different ways, and that this might be convoluted and hard. But again, this is just personally for me what has helped me get the exact measurements every single time. And hopefully it will help you, or at least guide you in the right direction that you would like to go. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.